Good afternoon, Berlin. Thanks for hanging in there late in the day on day 2. I'm going to use this brief time to help you understand this growing, sort of exploding market around work management. First, I want to very briefly, one slide, just make sure you understand who Asana is and give you a little overview of that. And I'm going to do that by focusing on the founder's story, because I think it's very relevant. So when the company was founded, roughly 10 years ago, it was founded by a Facebook founder and another early Facebook employee. And this was a time when Facebook was scaling really fast from a startup. And they were having these challenges in the technical teams and engineering and technical teams where the engineers and the technical teams were spending more time trying to figure out if they were on track or off track, who's doing what, when, those kinds of things, and coordinating versus actually coding. So they built an internal tool to make that more efficient and more effective, and it was such a success in driving efficiency at Facebook, they decided to spin out of Facebook and create a tool for the world to help do that same thing. And here we are. So we launched the product 6 years ago. We now have well north of 35,000 paying customers and hundreds of thousands of free customers, millions of users. And we're the fastest growing player in this space called work management. And I really want to spend most of my time not talking about Asana, but talking about this growing business imperative and how it can help your companies. So to start with, what we hear companies talking about all the time, teams, organizations, and despite all the great innovation in productivity and collaboration over the last couple decades, there's still this massive problem almost everywhere where teams, and ask yourself about your teams at work or at your organization, spend more time actually on work about work, trying to figure out, who's doing what when, will things be done on time, what's the steps between now and finishing your goals and achieving your goals, versus actual work, the time you spend on the actual work towards your mission and your goals and that kind of thing. So we call that work about work. And if you think about this, before coming to Asana, I was CMO at Google for their cloud business, so things like Google Apps. And there's lots of great technologies out there, great examples from Google and Microsoft, Box and Dropbox, Slack. We just heard from one that are really helping companies with communication and collaboration. But also what that's done is it's created an unbelievable amount of messages and notifications at work, right? Just like you're sort of overwhelmed at home, companies and people are overwhelmed at work with the numbers of notifications they're having. And this is some data from Bain that shows while collaboration's growing exponentially in the world, productivity is barely outpacing innovation on average. And the large part of that gap is teams and organizations are spending a lot of that time trying to get clarity on what is the plan, what is the process, what are the steps between now and done, are things falling through the crack, responsibility, so who's accountable for what, and then purpose. Are we working on the things that matter? How do I, at an individual level, at a team level, and at a company level, how do we get people working on the things that matter and not the things that are noise and work about work? And if you think about where this fits, it integrates really well with all these other tools that you've heard about and you probably use and you've talked about, and focuses on when you have structure, when you have a plan or a process or a goal and steps between now and achieving that goal, you need coordination. You need everyone on the team to understand who's doing what when. And traditional approaches to solving that are a challenge. So 97% of the world is trying to achieve this through meetings and sticky notes and spreadsheets and documents and customized solutions to this day in 2018. And then traditional project management tools, think of Gantt charts and guys would print out, Gantt charts in meetings saying, are we on track, are we off track? Sadly, the world's not much better than that. And those tools are traditionally great for project managers and process managers. They're never usually adopted by the team, and that's really the problem. So the analysts are all jumping on this category. It's taking off really fast and calling it work management. There's been a couple of IPOs in this space. This market is really taking off, and it is bringing clarity and accountability to all that collaboration that's happening, and that's the space we play in. And it addresses all kinds of business processes. There's sweet spots in marketing and HR and product. There's lots of processes that don't have commercial tools, cross-functional, like goals and OKRs and meetings and enablement and those kinds of things. There's also those processes that are unique to companies, right? So one example, One fun example from the other day is Uber was up here talking, and one of their key processes, their IP in the company is how they launch into new markets. And the way they launch into new markets is actually an Asana project and template that they reuse, and they can now launch 4 times faster than they could a couple years ago. And then the main point of this is to not really let you know where we fit, but know that the challenge in solving this problem for companies for decades has been the team doesn't actually use this stuff. It's really just been for the team lead or the project manager and that kind of thing. And what's changed the game is a focus on the actual team and users and making sure everybody has clarity on next steps and what's happening. And since we've deployed this, and been out in the market, we've seen amazing results. So on average, we survey our customers. We heard back from 3,000 of them last year, and they said they're actually 45% on average more efficient and more productive with Asana than without, and with this category of software than without. And really what companies and teams are investing in here is clarity and accountability. And then I thought I'd end with just some customer examples to make this real on what different companies are doing. So I already mentioned sort of Uber, who focuses on new city launch. Lots of German companies. I've been visiting a lot of our customers in Germany this week who've also been presenting here. We have a lot of focus on Germany right now. We've recently localized the product and built out the German-speaking team. So I met with a lot of the speakers, Babbel and N26 and Zalando and others. We also see lots of really interesting use cases across lots of other companies and other industries in Europe. AB InBev uses Asana to manage their global brands. Iceland Air uses it to manage sales and marketing processes. Spotify uses it at the C-suite level to manage and coordinate planning. And then I thought I'd end with a really great example I love, that it's less about new startups and more about traditional companies, in this case, a traditional German company. I was meeting with Max, the CEO of Wiesmann this morning. And this is a great example of a 100-year-old German company that, with 12,000 employees, traditional maker of heating and cooling systems, and really, to be successful in the future, has recognized and is taking a really strong stance on it's important that they transform the company and innovate digitally to be successful. And that's in terms of their products. They make HVAC and cooling systems, so think smart machines and Internet of Things, and smart systems and Internet of Things to be more efficient and more sustainable. They also think of that in terms of how of being purpose-driven as a company. How do you get 12,000 employees to have transparency and visibility into the purpose and how their work contributes to the purpose of the company? That's what they're deploying Asana for. So I think I'm just on time. I wanted to hopefully give you a very quick overview of this space. We're seeing it really take off for companies in the market globally. For us, Germany is actually our fastest growing market for this category of software. If you have any challenges with any of these things like clarity and accountability and knowing who's doing what when, please check us out. Thanks.